Exmouth base, Exmouth base. This is Exmouth 5. We've just had a report of an injured kangaroo. Any chance of anybody getting down there to check that out? Over.
Exmouth 5, this is Exmouth base. Yeah, I'm in town, so I'll head down there and check that out. Over.
Thanks for that, Brad. That's nothing further from me. Base out.
The main reasons why people hit kangaroos is generally because of their inexperience, and that's typically why we get lots of injured animals in school holidays. The factors that cause people to hit them are the fact that the bush often grows quite close to the sides of the road. You can't see them until they're actually moving, and you may only have half a second or so before they're actually on the road. And they're also well camouflaged, and at night they're particularly hard to see until they start moving.
I've had a lot of close calls with kangaroos. I've hit some, and without the protection of the rhubarb, I would have done considerable damage to my vehicle. They're unpredictable. They can start to run, to go across the front of your vehicle and then stop, and then you end up with them on the side of your vehicle.
It was a bit of a scary situation because I had my nurse's uniform on and I didn't want to be contaminated, obviously, but I can remember I felt quite hysterical, and I think I did ring my husband when I got to work or something like that. I can't quite remember now, it was a long time ago, but I knew I didn't want to get my uniform contaminated. That was the main thing.
I have never actually hit a kangaroo before or killed a kangaroo, but I have come across a dead roo on the side of the road, and there was a joey next to it. And because I was with my German girlfriend, she kind of coaxed me into getting out to save the national icon. So I went with her to the ranger, who then guided us to a carer in Exmouth, and we've handed over the joey to that person.
I'm Sue Ferrari. I'm a wildlife rehabilitator. This is one of my little charges, Pixie. I love working with these animals. They're really beautiful. I've learned a lot from them. I'm very passionate about raising them and rehabilitating them. But I would actually rather that I didn't actually have this job and that they were still with their mothers, still out there in the bush, because I think we can prevent a lot of the orphaning and the roadkill that happens up here in this area.
If you do hit a kangaroo, I think it's a moral obligation to go and check out the welfare of the animal to see how it is and do what you can.
It's awful, but if you have to, you must kill it. You know, you will usually have something in the car that you can hit on the back of the head with. You must consider your own safety as well. In the worst instance, you run over it again. It's a horrible thing to say, but you've got a vehicle, you've hit it the first time, hit it a second time, put it out of its misery. I have heard of situations where parents say, oh, I just couldn't bear to do that in front of my children, and I just think that that's setting a really, really bad example for the children. And, you know, the children have, you know, so much to learn and to offer, and, you know, you must ask your children to look away and do it just the same. Or, you know, if there's any tourists around going, oh, no, you can't do that, you know, just be firm and strong and continue with it, because it is the right thing to do for the animal.
The effect is they're a hazard, but you need to drive cautiously, and I tend to do that, particularly in the early hours of the morning when we're going fishing, and like at 4:30 a.m. when they're on the roadside verges feeding. I personally don't get over about 40 k's an hour, even if I've got 12 or 15 k's to travel, because they are a menace, you know. But it is a national park. So what can you do about it?
I've had people quiz me about what we're doing here, and I've actually questioned it myself from time to time, and people say, oh, there's bloody millions of them in the ranges, and there's, you know, this, that and the other, and, you know, you're not doing anything for the species. And I always say, well, look, I'm not doing it for the species, I'm doing it for the individual animal. I accept that, it does happen and it's very traumatic for everybody involved, but it is even more traumatic if the animal's left there to die. It is very, very important that you do everything that you can in your power to euthanize this animal as quickly as possible, to put it out of its misery and its suffering. You must never ever leave an animal beside the road. It can take days and days to die. Infection will set in, they will be eaten by predators while they're still alive. It is hideous.
If it is a female, then you need to check the pouch and make sure that there's not a joey in there, as they will often be pregnant in some way. If there is a joey in there, you need to pull it out and then put it into a jumper and keep it warm and get it to the nearest country town and make contact with the local care authorities.
A lot of people say to me, how can you bear to release that animal at the end of all the hard work and everything? And in actual fact, that's the thing that keeps me going. I want to see this animal back out there in the bush, hopping off into the sunset. It's my dream. And you have to work on that. You have to try and find out what the animal are doing at the various stages of their life, try and teach them independence, teach them about the bush, foods. We do not want our animals to be pets. Yes, we pet them and we love them and all the rest of it, but we want them to be wild animals, which they do eventually become. We're lucky enough to have an area where we can take them away from your suburban situation. They do become wild, and then we take them to an area where we release them, or we release them nearby. That can be up to 18 months from when the joey first comes in, so it is a long-term commitment. It's not a short-term commitment, so every time you bump a roo, you're creating 18 months' work for somebody to do, and as much pleasure as I get out of it, I would much rather you didn't bump the roo in the first place.